What's up, everybody? I'm Billy Ryan, and you are listening to the No One Is Watching podcast, where we explore leadership, culture, and the impact they have on high-performing teams. We can all admire the championships that are won on the field and the big profits that show up on the balance sheet. But this show is dedicated to the premise that those battles are won long before they start. Through conversations with elite performers and leaders in the world of business, sports, and life in general, we'll learn valuable lessons on how you can optimize yourself and your organization. Today I'm joined by Lucas Sims, Major League pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. An Atlanta native, Lucas was drafted in the first round by his hometown Braves, the team with which he made his Major League debut. We talk about what it feels like to be traded, how fatherhood is the ultimate perspective shifter, and how the adversity Lucas faced in his worst professional season and the subsequent leadership development program he participated in helped him gain self-awareness and come through stronger on the other side. Lucas, good to see you, brother. It's been a while.
Been a while. Yeah, great to see you.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a bunch of stuff. We were just talking a little bit before about you're a father now, right? And
yeah.
So nothing lends itself perspective and sort of the humility as being a dad and having a little kid running around, sort of telling you what's what. So how has that, first and foremost, how has that changed you as a person, let alone as an athlete?
To start, it just changes your perspective completely. It's not all about you anymore. I've been so lucky throughout my, not just career, but through my life. I actually had a high school coach who, Coach Howard, and he used to always preach. It was about baseball, but he always would say, eventually it's going to be bigger than you. Like, talking about like the team aspect of things, but he goes, eventually you're going to be done playing and you're going to be a father and you're going to have kids. And, you got to be selfless. Like you're there to serve them. You're there to bring them up. So it's really kind of changed my perspective. I've always carried that with me, but now that I'm going through it, it's so fun. I'm enjoying the ride. It goes fast, but it's, I love it. I got to be a little more planned now. You got to organize a little bit and just kind of be able to be flexible as well, because the plan goes out the window pretty quickly sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I remember you and I had a conversation years ago about you were younger and you weren't married yet, so you hadn't had that experience, that perspective. But I've seen it over the last couple of years, and I've sort of grown to embrace it. And I remember the conversation you and I had was sort of on that theme of like, look, we were doing kind of a project, a little initiative that you were involved in, and it was like, hey, I don't know, this isn't going to give you a better curveball. This isn't going to make you throw harder, but I do believe it's going to make you a better teammate, a better competitor, a better husband someday, a better father. And so whether that did or not, just the notion that all of those things being in order in your life are going to allow you to be a better athlete, performer, businessman, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And now you have that background.
I'm pretty sure we're on the same page. We're talking about 2016, right?
We are. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that. I talked with your first guest, Ryan, just the other day, and we were talking about getting nostalgic, and I actually thought about that, and it's funny to think about, because at the time, what we were trying to accomplish with that, as far as what I'm sure y'all, I guess I was probably one of the older minor league guys that we brought there, and I'm pretty sure you guys were wanting me to be a leader, and I was mad, and all things considered, I think I failed. I think I probably failed. Maybe objectively, as far as what we were kind of trying to, like the task at hand, at first with either the mental side or the physical side of things. But I remember leaving it, and now it's funny thinking about it now in 2023, and wow, that was one of the better things that happened to me, because I think I needed it. I think I needed a little bit little bit of maturity, a little bit of being able to look at things um, without such like either an anger, like getting a hothead about it. It's like using everything as an opportunity for growth. Um, Sometimes it takes a little while for it to sink in. Like here we are now, but um, looking back on it, it was a great thing to happen to me personally.
Man, I don't think you failed at all. I think you were honestly. We've talked about this. I've talked about this with Ryan and others. Like you were actually kind of one of the shining stars on the back end of it because you were failing early in that program. There's no doubt. And failing is the wrong word, but you were struggling, right? You were dealing with some stuff and didn't know how to get through it. But you came out the other end and you embraced it, and look, whether that helped you in your career or not, you're the only probably one that knows, but it did. I could see it click in you, and you had shifted the way you started thinking about things, and you just touched on a little bit about whether it's the maintaining your composure or figuring out how to mature a little bit, and how to maybe deal with adversity. And you were coming off a year. Go ahead.
Right. No, it was tough at the time to really see the parallels. 2016, I always consider is probably one of the um, statistically probably one of the worst years of my career. Did really well in Double A, got called up to Triple A, had a little bit of success early, and then struggled mightily, enough to get sent back down to Double A. And going down there, um, you know, I felt like I was right on the cusp. I felt like I was so close to getting to the big leagues, and then for it to go backwards, I got really frustrated. I got angry at times, angry with myself, angry with others, um, and then I get this invitation to go after the season. I felt like all I wanted was a mental break, and I got to go down to Flagler Beach, Florida, and wake up at 3 in the morning and go on a however many mile ruck until you're done. Um, and I was angry. And as the camp kind of went on, yeah, we did our I don't know what you guys kind of called it. It really wasn't. I thought at the time it was like an interrogation, but
Yep.
it was not at all. It was literally just me like, all right, give us a minute of remember the question. I think it was something about leadership, and I was just mad. I didn't really say anything, and so we just stood there. And I remember talking to you and Ryan and Jeff Banman, and it wasn't until then. I don't remember exactly what was said, but I remember the light switch hit, and we kind of I was able to put the two together of um, the physical talent for myself. It was there. Um, what I was lacking was between the years, and I think now you're starting to see in baseball that's it's starting to kind of become a priority. It's being talked about a lot more. With all the numbers that are available with TrackMan, Hawkeye, Rapsodo, whatever it may be, there's a lot more availability to mental skills, the psychology part of it. I think that's being talked about a lot more. I guess I can really only speak for Cincinnati, but we have a really good support staff with either mental skills or mental health, whatever it may be. And I really think that's, they kind of talk about, I say they, I heard all the way through the minors is, what's the difference between that big leaguer and down in high A, Lynchburg or whatever. Well, I got better stuff than that guy does. And it was always preached as like, that guy's more consistent. And you hear it and you're like, all right, they're more consistent. But like, what does that mean? Right? Like they do their job more, but like, how do I get there? What does that mean? What do you got to do to be consistent? Um, so at the lower levels, it's a little kind of harder to figure out. But then what I would do is I would just watch older guys who had experience, guys who had 6, 7, 10, 12 years in the big leagues. All right, what is that guy doing? Because he's been doing it a long time. That's the goal. Those guys are playing for a long time. They've been successful. They've stuck around. They've had success. They've gone through fit. You play that long, you've gone through failures as well. So, what do I got to do to prepare my body? What do I got to do? You're shagging BP. You go over to that guy and like, hey man, what were you thinking the other night when you were throwing and you got in that pickle in the sixth or whatever? What was your mindset? So it's always just kind of soaking things up. I guess it's a long way of saying that the stuff between the ears is I think one of the most important. Your mindset out there. I think that's a huge determining factor. How many guys do you see? You're like, man, that guy throws 90 miles an hour, but goodness, like he's an absolute dog out there, and it's a difference maker to me. It really is.
Yeah, in baseball, as much as any other sport, right? It is the ultimate game of failure. It is a war of attrition over 162 games. The best of the best are going to fail a lot, right? I mean, you have to know that. And so, getting back to that, just for context for people listening, it was a leadership development camp we did years ago. I guess it was, 7 years ago now. It's just hard to believe.
Holy smokes, yeah,
yeah, and you had all the talent in the world. You were, I remember watching you in AA and then watching you in AAA. And I saw you melt down in Gwinnett. You hit the bull, you were throwing the ball all over the place. And I could see it. You just didn't know what to do with yourself. Mm-hmm. You didn't know how to correct it. And I would always have conversations with folks about that exact dynamic. You've got the talent. You had the hometown kid drafted by the Braves, first rounder. You've got all the advantages in the world. You progress through the system. You're right. You're a heartbeat away from the big leagues, right? And if the first time you're going to fail, like really fail, is going to be on national TV with 40,000 people in the stands,
yeah, it's not a good place to be. And I'm grateful that I went through it in AAA. And I struggled a little bit early in the big leagues, but not everybody goes up there and has immediate success. You got to learn a little bit, but I am glad that I went through at least that period. At least a little bit in the shadows, where it wasn't so out in the open. And I learned a lot from that year. I learned a lot, and it wasn't always. I kind of killed myself that year because not so much mentally. It was mentally a little bit. While I was out there pitching, which if anybody ever saw me that year, like you could probably attest, it was. I was kind of killing myself on the mound, but I would struggle, and then the next day, run, lift, but I would just kill myself in between outings. I was like, all right, I got to work harder. This is what I got to do. I got to just work my way out of it. And really, what I was missing was it was really just a mentality thing where, and I think that kind of would stew over where I thought if I ran and an extra 15 minutes or a couple extra stadiums or left the weight room and I could barely walk, like that was going to translate to success or something. That was just my way of either punishing a bad outing or it was just kind of I think it was a way of coping, and I got strong, but it did me no good because I'd go out there and throw a first pitch ball, and that was pretty much ruined because I'm out there dog cussing, and instead of like, whatever, let's get back in the count, or my mentality. I worked with Ryan a lot that year, and Ryan helped me out a lot, an immense amount. I still talk to him to this day. Mostly just as friends, but he played such a huge part in helping me and turning things around. But he would always say, you're starting at a 10. A lot of people start right around like an 8 or a 9, like high strung people, and you're out there at a 10, and there's no place to go. And you're seeing red out there, and at that point, motor skills go out the window. Like, much less trying to execute a fastball as hard as you can where you want it to go. And so that was a big thing for me, is being able to just kind of dial it back a little bit and realize, I think what's limiting me is my mentality. It's not a physical thing. And then it's starting to kind of come to me where everyone talks about, like, I go back to the consistency. What's the difference between that? Well, these guys are consistent. Well, I work hard. I feel like I probably work harder than them, or whatever it may be, but they're able to go out there, execute the task at hand. If it goes well or it doesn't go well, they're professional. They show up the next day. They don't have to kill themselves. They can look at it and say, all right, I got beat. What do I got to do to prepare? Go back out there. Just another thing with, like, I always want to I don't ever want to take them out and not feel prepared. And if then I can go home that night, good or bad, and be like, I was ready. I just didn't get it done that day. Let's prepare for tomorrow. As a reliever, I think that's also a huge thing. Is I don't know if I've never looked it up, but I think I can say pretty confidently, I don't think anyone's ever had a 0 ERA. So,
yeah,
you can do pretty well, but nobody's perfect. Like,
that short
pitchers
memory.
and hitters, it's a game of failure. So,
yeah, that short memory is so important, and I think you hit on it there. It's the physical thing. It's easy to say, okay, how can I get more consistent? You start focusing on the mechanics, or being the tactician, right? Am I pulling off? Am I getting through my pitches? Whatever mechanic it is, it's your key. So much of that is mental, right? The consistency is being able to flush that after a good or a bad outing and just show up the next day. And that's true in anything, right? I mean, it's a matter of keeping that level. And I saw you struggle with that in the minor leagues, and I could see you're just wired that way. And candidly, I was wired that way a little bit when I played in college and high school. It was, just push harder. And that's the answer. You're going to work harder. You're going to try harder. You're going to push harder. And it doesn't work that way in baseball.
no.
Right? And it really doesn't work that way in a lot of things. But the difference between working hard and working smart, and for you coming through that program, seeing what you've gone through since then, what you've accomplished, where you've come, and look, even if you never had the success that you've had in your career in the big leagues, I was proud of you just for sort of getting through that experience, because I'm like, that made an impact on him, and he came out of that with a little bit more awareness, if nothing else. Now it's on him to kind of take that and run with it, right? But I feel like we at least sort of shined a light on something that you may have been missing, because to your point, it's easy to focus on the physical, get bigger, get faster, get stronger, throw harder, whatever it might be. But like, how do you actually, and from my perspective, when you're trying to assess players and evaluate, how is this, because everybody's going to fail. How's this guy going to respond when he fails? If he fails on the biggest stage in the biggest moment, is that going to crush him? Because it's going to crush some people. Or is he going to be able to handle it? That's hard to know until it happens.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you came through the Braves, hometown kid, like I said, first rounder, developed, get all the way up to AAA. I mean, get to the big leagues with the Braves, and then you wind up getting traded to the Reds, who you're currently with. What was that experience like for you, given that you were, sort of the hometown kid, first round pick, and presumably grew up a Braves fan, right?
Yeah, I did. Obviously that was just to make it there, and that among itself was a dream come true. Then there was kind of the reality hit of the fairy tale's a little bit over. I didn't have a whole lot of success. I did struggle a little bit while I was there. Ultimately, I would have loved to have been obviously had success and been able to done that, but that didn't work out, and that's okay. I got a great opportunity over here with Cincinnati, and But I will say, I've noticed that I've had a lot of teammates from a lot of different places, and not everybody gets the opportunity to play at home, basically in your backyard at a major league club, and that's something that like I'll always take with me. There's not many people that, a lot of people don't even grow up near you know a big league team per se. You know, I've heard plenty of people like, man, like, would you like to go play at home, wherever it may be, and like, yeah, that would be so sick. And you hear guys, and so I'll always be grateful to be able to kind of live out that 3-4 year old kid's dream of putting on that uniform. It was something I was very proud of. I'm very grateful for. Grateful for my time there, the people I met. Still some of the most influential people in my career. I was a baby Brave, and having all the history of that organization, and I was super proud to make my debut there and pitch there, and I'll always be thankful for the people there, and that opportunity, and that part of my career. It's basically molded me into who I am today as a baseball player.
Sure. Yeah, look, who knows what would have happened had you stayed there, right? Maybe you continue to progress and are in a similar spot, but sometimes it also just takes that change of scenery, that new voice, that probably, I'm sure it was a little bit of a wake up call, right? It's the first real introduction to the business side of the game where you're saying, okay, now I'm no longer a Brave, right? This is I grew up rooting for this team. I got to the big leagues with them, dream come true, and now the business side of it comes in, and now I'm a Cincinnati Red, and that's taking nothing away from the Reds. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
But now you get there and you make the most of it, right? Was there a how did you get through that mentally? Was it hard for you, or were you just able to say, okay, this is a new opportunity, let's go get it?
No, I was pretty aware that not many people will play for the same team forever.
Sure.
We were even kind of preach. You hear it in the minors all the time, where you're not just, even in the lower levels. You're not just playing for trying to make it to this team. There's 29 other teams out there that, if they want you, whatever they can acquire, trade, sign, whatever it may be. The ultimate goal is to pitch in the big leagues. So I was aware. I thought it was a great opportunity. I was excited. Excited to try that out, or not try that out, but excited to see another side. Excited to meet new people, hear new voices. It was an exciting opportunity. It's kind of wild, for people that have gone through it. Just kind of up and going, and going to a new place, and meeting a lot of people that you don't know, maybe you've played against. Get to know them. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was really cool.
You get there, you establish yourself as a big league reliever, right? You make the transition from starter to full-time reliever. You string together multiple years of success after battling through, you take that next step in your career. You battle through that adversity in the minor leagues. You get there, you get a taste of it. You have your struggles, which a lot of players do. You kind of go up and down, and you can't quite get your footing. You get over to Cincinnati, and you finally take that next leap, and you get up there and you establish yourself several years in a row. Okay, I'm a big league reliever. Then you get an injury, right? And then you've got to, you sort of lose that momentum from the standpoint of like, hey, let's just keep stringing good seasons together, good outings together. And now you've got to sit back and watch, and now you've got to think. What was that like for you? I mean, mentally?
Difficult. Definitely difficult. Injuries for the most part are out of our control. For mine, it was, I had a herniated disc, and I tried a lot of stuff. It was a bit of a roller coaster of good days and bad days of how it was feeling. Ultimately, I made the decision after a lot of effort. Long story short, ended up getting surgery last year. That ultimately ended my season. So really, pretty much all of last year was a wash, and it was difficult. Uh, Not gonna lie, I had trouble watching games sometimes, just because I don't know. I almost missed it so much that it kind of hurt to watch.
Yeah.
You don't. I always say, like, I always tell people, like, you don't realize how much it means to you until it's taken away from you. Um, and I said that actually after 2020, because that was to no one's fault. It just, well, that just happened. It was all just like that. It was gone. There was no season, um, at least for a couple months, and everyone was kind of sitting there wondering, what's going on. And it's not like, at least I had the opportunity where I could have watched baseball, but um, yeah, you don't realize how much you love something, how much it means to you until it's taken away. And so it, it I guess rekindles the love for it. Not that I've fallen out of love, but it just
You
stokes the
appreciate it
flame.
more, right?
It stokes the flame a little bit,
Yeah.
where you're like, wow, like it reminds you how much it means to you, how much you love it, um, what it means to you. It's just really grateful. I'm excited to get back out there and compete. If you know me, like I love this game. It means so much to me. It's given so much to me. Um, yeah, I can't wait to get back out there and pitch. And um, that's all I got to say. Man, yeah, I get fired up. I get fired up talking about this stuff.
No, man, I know, it's good. I imagine, look, you got a little girl at home, right? So I imagine that was probably a pretty good outlet for you to
Yeah.
rechannel some of
So
that
the silver
energy.
lining in that was huge. I was able to do my rehab, and then I was able to go home, and I was able to see her, and there was a lot of things I got to experience. Um, that honestly I would have missed. I got to see my little girl's first steps. The team they were on the road that day, um, and I get home from rehab and was able to um, uh, literally be there for her first steps, and um, so that's something that I was grateful for. I was trying to just find anything I could to um, maybe distract myself, and like I said, that perspective of you know there are bigger things than baseball. Like I just said, as much as it means to me, um, this game could be taken away from me tomorrow, and you know what, I have my family. I have my support system. I got other things that I can do, and so that kind of definitely put it into perspective.
Yeah, I think a lot of people went through that during COVID. Whether you're out used to being an athlete and competing, or you're used to being in an office every day, or you're used to being on an airplane, whatever it
Yeah.
is. Nobody gets to do what they're used to doing anymore, and we're all sitting at home with nothing to do but think. And I'm sure that was I'm not sure. I know that was really, really hard for a lot of people mentally. A lot of battles with mental health and depression from that isolation, but it also gives people. I know it did for me. It sort of crystallizes what really matters. What is important? What do you want your life to look like? Who do you want to be? What kind of friend do you want to be? Husband, father, brother, son, all of it. And it, you know, we didn't have the distractions we once did.
Yeah.
And you're not hopping from game to bus to plane to hotel to game to bus to plane, and rinse, lather, repeat. So I'm happy for you that you had that, right? That because you're never going to forget that, being there for your little girl's first steps,
No,
right?
yeah, I'll never forget that for sure.
You'll look back on that years from now when you're done playing, and it's going to be you'll be grateful that it happened. And I know I probably didn't feel that way in the time because you're just chomping at the bit to get back out there and competing. But it's cool from my perspective to see you kind of in the place in your life now where, um, you know, we sort of referenced 7 years ago,
Yeah.
baseball aside, just as a person, right?
Full disclaimer, I'm still not entirely. I don't have it all figured out. I'm not claiming to have it figured out. I'm still kind of a knucklehead.
No,
However,
nobody does.
I'm a little bit more mature knucklehead now. I still need a good, kick in the ass every once in a while.
Well, that's what wives and kids are for,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
They're good. They're good for that. So getting back sort of the same theme of that. What we did when we went through 7 years ago. It was a lot of it was focused around culture and it was focused around leadership. And I remember talking to you guys. Still when you were like, I can't believe I have to be there. What the hell is this? The notion that that clubhouse someday is going to be yours. It doesn't matter what the front office says. It doesn't matter what the manager says. You guys are the 25 guys in uniform. You are going to determine what you stand for, what you're going to tolerate from yourselves, what you're going to tolerate from your teammates. So now, as an established major league player, someone that's gone through adversity, someone that's been in multiple organizations, what does that mean to you? Talk to me about clubhouse culture and how you define it, what you look for in it, what resonates with you, inside that clubhouse.
Yeah. So you've got all walks of life. You've got people from all over the world, all over the country, different personalities. But what brings everybody together is, we all speak the same language and the language of baseball. So how do we come together as a team to achieve the ultimate goal? Over a long haul of a season, it can be it can be exhausting. I think it's just, I don't think you don't have to be best pals with somebody on the team, but it definitely understanding what clicks, kind of getting to know them as a person, because then once you step between those lines, we're all pulling on the same team. I think it just makes a big difference of getting to know them, what makes them tick, and just that. I feel like that's how you get everybody kind of pulling along on the same lines of. We would always talk about in the bullpen. I'd be right out there. You're basically out there. You're right there with the guy who's on the mound, even though you're not pitching. Like, you're with them at each pitch, because that phone might ring and you might have to go bail them out, or vice versa. You want the guy that's coming in behind you to be locked in, to be, like I said, right there with you. Like, we're all pulling on the same rope, So I think that's a big thing is just getting everybody to be on the same side, but also, how do we come together? What does that look like? And I think you see that some of the most successful teams, they always seem to be having the most fun too. They always seem to like each other, and they enjoy competing with each other. And even when you go through spells, it's not everybody's just in their moping. You look to some of the older guys. I've played with some unbelievable teammates, and like I said, some of the veteran guys, and you always see them, and it's like, whatever, a hitter maybe go 0 for 4 with the sombrero, or the a pitcher just got rocked. Either finding humor in it might be, or maybe they do get a good blow up, but then you see them at the spread table later, and you're talking about, I don't know, anything.
Yeah. Tell me more about some of those teammates, the guys that influenced you, the good teammates, the good leaders that you've been around. Who's made an impact on you?
Some of my favorite, man. You're doing this to me, and I don't want to leave anybody out, because I've had.
I'm not saying a favorite. Just give me a couple, right? Like,
Sonny Gray is one of my favorite teammates. The competitive side. So starters are cool too, because starters, they're with us with the pitcher side, but then they spend a lot of time in the dugout too. So they're able to. They're kind of the voice in between starters and catchers as well. We're normally sitting about 380 feet away, tucked away in the outfield somewhere, but
they can translate for you.
Yeah. So they kind of have a good pulse on where the team is, and they kind of are able to bring everybody together. But Sonny was great. He's just I think he's hilarious. He's a funny guy, but you want to talk about mentally like locking in. Um, he's walking around in his spikes in full uni about an hour and a half, and so my locker was set up on the same side, but there's a little bit of uh, a wall that juts out, and then Sony was a couple lockers down that way. And before the game, I'd be kind of sitting in my locker and talking with guys on my side of the clubhouse, and I'd kind of peek over and I'd be like, "Hey, check it out," and I roll out and and I would just look, and he would just get this look about him, and he was able to flip that switch, um, and then you go out and watch him pitch, and um, just an absolute bulldog out there, and it's fun. It fires me up. I'm out in the bullpen, fist pumping, and um, the energy is contagious. Whereas, you I had another great teammate, Wade Miley, completely different. we there's a story of when the night he threw his no hitter in 21. We had a little bit of a rain delay, and he was collecting $20 from everybody to do high card. This was 30 minutes before his start, and was able to go out there, but and throw a no hitter. Like, that was a great night. But yeah, it's just there's all walks. There's all different kind of walks of great teammates that I've had, and each one unique. Um, Everybody has the same goal, and it's like winning that day. That's the most important thing. Like, what do we got to do to win that day? Um,
Have you taken anything you touched earlier on, like the starting with knowing the person, right? Forget the talent, the position, whatever they're going to do on the field that day, but the chemistry and the culture piece starts by knowing the people that are that you're working with every day. And so at the same time, you got to be yourself, right? Like Wade Miley's not going to be Sonny Gray and vice versa from a personality perspective. But um, is there anything that stood out to you that you saw a teammate doing as far as being a good teammate, right? Whether it's supporting somebody else or trying to cut people up or whatever it might be, that maybe wasn't in your nature, that you tried to do, you tried to emulate, or maybe you just learned from sort of the importance of, and a lot of times they're not the all-star players. Sometimes they're the role players that really sort of drive that clubhouse culture.
there's not one in particular, but I always I remember multiple instances of different conversations with different people. Um, what were you thinking out there when that happened? Like, um, what was kind of going through your mind? Or just like talking ball. What were you thinking about with that pitch? Is that did you mean to? Did you want to throw that, or hey man, like whether it's good or bad, being able to talk with somebody, understand what they were going through as a ball player, as a position player. Hey, um, should he have thrown that ball right through was that a good play? And because I don't know, I'm not an outfielder or an infielder or catcher or whatever it may be, or in vice versa. They ask us about pitches, and so we're all trying to figure out the mental, like, was it the right move? And sometimes just being able to talk through something. Um, maybe they're like, hey, um, you're why are you throwing a temperature? Whatever it may be, like, um, do you think that the error, affected your mentality out there? Whatever it may be, maybe it's yes or no, but being able to talk about it through and figure out what makes people tick. I think there's something that you can always learn from those kind of conversations.
Yeah, even if you can't relate to what they're going through in the moment, to your point, it's a position player or whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, the idea that you can learn something from that, right? That you can pull something from that, whether it's a mentality or decision making or whatever it might be, and having that open dialogue as teammates. And if you have a clubhouse full of those guys, you have an opportunity to get a little bit better whether you even realize it's happening, right? Because you're like, all right, I talked about the scenario 6 weeks ago
And you have to be honest.
that I never.
And you have to be honest.
Right.
I think the best teammates are honest. Being able to say, like, this is what I saw. It looked like, and nothing to be specific, but looked like did you try? And,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, they
like,
got to admit, hey, you know what? I mailed that one in, or
yeah, like
I was wrong. I guessed and I was right. Like have that
either,
vulnerability.
yeah, hey man, like your body language sucked. You gave up one run and that led into the next guy. You walked the next guy, and then you gave up a 3-run homer. And instead of, bearing down and like, we needed you right there, and you kind of gave up. And being able to have those brutally honest conversations with people, it might piss you off, but somebody saw it, and if one person sees it, there's a good chance somebody else did too. And it's not to show you up. It's not to, like I said earlier, we're all pulling on the same rope. So, what do we got to do to learn from failure or learn from success? You learn a lot more through failure, I feel like, but
No doubt.
At the end of the day, we're all, like I said, the goal's the same. We want to win ball games. We want to be the last team to win a ball game. That's every team's goal. So I think being able to have those brutally honest, sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes it might make you mad, but if you know the person well enough, that it's for not just your best interest, but the team's as well.
Yeah, it's easy to say, shoot me straight, tell me the truth, and then it can be a little bit more difficult when you get some feedback that you don't like. And actually, you'd be a great person to talk to. I had Snit on an earlier episode.
I listened to that. That was a great episode.
One of his gifts is he just has the ability to build trust. People know where they stand with him, good or bad. He's just an authentic dude, right? Like he is what he says he is, and all of that stuff. And so we would have conversations. I've always felt like there's a lot of folks in my former roles in the front office where, hey, we're just going to like transact. We're going to make a roster move. We're going to cut this guy. We're going to release him. We're going to move him up. We're going to move him down. And when it gets to like the negative aspects of that, where, hey, we're sending this guy down. Like, has anybody told him that, like, has anybody tried to help him? Has anybody had a direct conversation with him about what's going on? He's not stupid. He knows he's not performing. Okay. So like, don't like, patronize these people. They're grown men, and treat them like professionals. And I feel like with certain folks, there's an aversion to having those direct conversations. Maybe it's because they're not comfortable in the clubhouse, whatever it might be. It was a gift of Snit's. And if you listen to it, you heard him say, I'm sure you heard him say it in person as you're a perfect guy to ask, because you were playing for him in the minor leagues, and obviously had aspirations of getting the big leagues. And Snit had been there as a coach, and through no fault of his own, got sent back down to the minor leagues. And hey, you don't like it, play better. You get back up there, right? And it's simple, but it's true, And he had that credibility and that way of building rapport and trust, where you're like, all right, this guy's not BSing me. It is that simple. Now the question is, how do I get there? So like, talk to me about Snit in the minor leagues.
So I've known Snit for a very long time. His son Troy is one of my best friends. He was one of my first roommates in pro ball. He's in my wedding. So when my first off season, I was going over to hang out with Troy at Snit's house, and we'd go over there and I don't know, make homemade pizzas and sushi, and we'd watch hunting videos and all sorts of stuff. So me and Snit go way back. One of the most genuine cares, just one of the all-time great baseball people, but then just a great person. I love playing for him. I'm so grateful that he was my first major league manager. He means so much to me and my career. Like I said, all the people over there. I'd be pretty remiss if I didn't mention what Snit's meant to my career. You see him not just with myself. You see him all the time with people that he's have played for him or with him in the minors, and you see him now in the big leagues. You walk over there and he gives you a big hug around the neck, and he genuinely means that, with all his players. And I think it's great to see him have success. But hopefully we give him a nice run for his money here in Cincinnati this year. And but I love Snit. Seeing his journey, listening to him talk, and the stories that he has, and it's he's one of the best, one of the best.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things of the conversation I had with him here was we both acknowledged that he probably doesn't get a job anywhere else, because of the landscape of the game right now.
Right.
He was such an outsider or outlier, I suppose. 40 plus years with one organization, not on the cutting edge of analytics, just more of a traditional baseball guy, cut from sort of the Bobby Cox cloth, and approached the game in a similar way with Bobby. Bobby was, sort of fostered this loyalty with people. And Snit's the same way. Guys love Snit because he's just, to your point, he's genuine. He's an authentic person. He's going to tell you if you stink. He's going to be, hey, man, you stunk last night. Your body language was terrible.
Right.
Why aren't you in the lineup today? Why do you think you're not in the lineup
Oh, yeah.
today? I mean, there's no sugarcoating. He was just candid with people. And to your point earlier, like, if you get a clubhouse, now not everybody can be like that, but if you get a group, sort of a core, to sort of facilitate that sort of environment where you can, hey, look, let's have some tough conversations with an eye toward getting better, not with an eye toward me putting you down or trying to steal your job. But like, if you don't know, you're not, sometimes you need somebody else to tell you from the outside what's going on, what's going right or what's going wrong, because you can't see it. You're too close to the elephant.
Yeah. Well, they call it seeing it through the rose-colored lenses. Sometimes you want everything to think that everything's going in the right direction, and until somebody gives you an outside opinion that you're like, damn, all right, that's makes you think, and then you're like, all right, well, I'm glad he said that. Maybe there is some truth to that.
Right. Yeah, you've got to have that introspection. You got to be willing to kind of hear that. A lot of people aren't, and that's you hear that, and that can do some damage if you're not ready for it.
What's that book on the All Blacks? I forget the name of it, but
Legacy.
What do they say?
Legacy.
No egos.
Yeah.
No egos.
Yeah. They say another word. They say another word too.
Yeah. But
but yeah, no, it's one of my favorite books. It's so simple. It's a great book on culture and leadership in sports, and I feel like the simplest, whatever you want to call them, values, pillars, sort of ethos. They're simple and they're relatable, and so it's, be a good teammate, right? Like your manager, David Bell, one of my dear friends who's no longer with us, Mike Bell, passed away a couple years ago, and I worked with Mike in Arizona, and Mike had one rule as our farm director, and it was just be a good teammate, and that people can define that different ways, but you're going to know it. You're going to be if you're being a good teammate or not, right? Deep down.
Yeah.
And so it's simple, but it's hugely impactful.
Yeah. I've been so lucky so far in my big career. Being able to play for Snit first, and then David Bell took over in 2019, and we want to talk about genuine. He cares so much. Cares so much about winning, but he cares so much about you as a person. How are you doing? How's your family? Takes the time to get to know. We were just talking about getting to know your teammates. He does an unbelievable job of getting to know his players. What makes them tick. It's such a great person, and somebody that you really want to go out there and fight for, because he's right there with you. You want to talk about right there with you. The way that all the best managers I've ever seen, they got their players' backs, and he's right there in the war with you, and it makes it really fun to play for a guy, and even more rewarding to win for them as well.
Have you encountered? I don't want you to name names. Have you encountered anybody either in uniform or in front office or another role that um, that tried to give off that appearance, but you could tell, you could see through it right away that, you know, that they're acting and saying things that lead you to believe that they've got your back and they're right there with you, but in reality, you don't really trust it. Have you encountered that?
I've been pretty lucky with just having good people. Honestly, not really.
Okay, just curious.
Maybe I was too naive to see. Maybe they didn't. um,
No,
but
I'm not saying
I
that
genuinely
they're
always I want to see the good in people. You know, like I said, I played with so many teammates, and I guess maybe coaches and staff or whatever. You're not going to like everybody. Um, maybe I have, but I don't have any specific examples of stuff. I don't really I
sure.
don't carry that stuff with me per se.
Yeah, yeah. I ask because it's to my earlier point about like players see through right through that stuff. Not just players, people see through right their stuff. If you're trying to be something that you're not, you know, the analogy I always like to use is Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick. If one tried to be the other personality wise, it ain't gonna work.
Right.
Like it's just not who they are as human beings. And so, um, you know, sometimes people try to behave or be what they think they're supposed to be instead of just being themselves. And that's what I think Snit's superpower is he is what he is. Like love him or I don't know if you can hate him, but you know, take him or leave him. He is who he is, and that resonates with people. You know, just you know what you're getting every day.
Yeah, and that's one of DB's big things is just be authentic. Whoever you're going to be, whoever you are, be you. People might not like it, they might love you, but at least you're not a phony. That's how I take it. At least is um, this is who I am. You know, we don't have to be best buddies at the end of the day, but I want you to at least know that when we're between the lines, like um, this is who I am, and um, you know, I just want to be authentic.
Yeah, yeah. So what when you were rehabbing, coming back, had a lot of my time in your hands. Obviously, spent more time with your family. What else did you do, man? Did you come up with some hobbies? Did you read some books? What would you had more free time than you're used to?
Yeah, not a honestly not a whole lot with back surgery. That's not much going on.
Yeah, I can
I
relate.
really tried to just focus on being a better husband, being a better dad. Got to hang out with my dog a good amount. That walking was good. One of the few things I could do. But so we'd go on family walks, and um, like I said, I think more so than anything, it was a lot of time to self reflect. You know, do a lot of thinking back on. It kind of made me think of my career. Think of life. Um, and I think it just kind of helped give me maybe a fresh perspective on maybe who I want to be as a person going forward. And um, like I said, there's so much downtime, so much time to think. I was trying to make the most of it, and figure out what can I do to be a little bit better, be a little bit better husband, be a better father, be a better ball player, be a better teammate. Um, it just it was a lot of time to think, a lot of time to think.
That's good. Well, look, man,
But
it looks like
it
you're
was
focusing on the right stuff.
a lot of introspection.
Yeah,
And it was I try to make the most of a cruddy situation at the time.
yeah. Well, look, man, I'm hugely proud of you for sort of the journey you've been on and kind of where you are right now, not just as a
Still
player, but
going,
as a person.
still going. This journey's not
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
I promise
You
you.
and me both, man.
I might have said a lot of hopefully cool things, not too dumb, but I promise you, I'm still a work in progress. I don't have
Hey,
it
we
all
all
figured
are,
out.
man. We all are. That's the whole point. That's why I enjoy having these conversations. There's a lot to learn just from talking to folks who have different experiences than you and have gone through some things. So I'm excited to see you get back out there. I know you're chomping at the bit, and look forward to get back on a mound, a big league mound, and I'll definitely be pulling for you. But I appreciate your time. It's been awesome catching up with you, and like I said, I'm proud of you and looking forward to seeing what you do down the road.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. I really enjoyed this. It's fun. It's fun to talk about.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the No One Is Watching podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to hit subscribe to be notified of future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please take a second, leave a rating and review, or share it with your friends. If you're interested in similar content, you can check out my website at nooneiswatching.com, where you can subscribe to the newsletter, read my blog, or follow me on your social media platform of choice. Look, your time is valuable, so thank you for lending me some of it. We'll see you next time.